While remembered today simply as the katana-wielding Japanese warriors of old, the life of a samurai was actually far more complex. For 700 years, the samurai were the ruling political power in Japan, serving as a noble political class, embracing their culture as a strict lifestyle on and off the battlefield. Experts in martial arts, swordsmanship, horseback riding, and archery, an honourable samurai was educated, brave, and ruthless, following their strict code of conduct to the last. The way of the warrior was one of loyalty, indifference to pain, fearlessness, and a desire to die with honour on the battlefield to a worthy opponent. Although the term samurai has existed since the 8th century, it was during the Shogunate Era, roughly from 1192 to 1868, that the samurai class truly emerged in society. The aftermath of the 5-year Genpei War between two rival clans established the first shogun to rule feudal Japan as a military dictatorship, leaving the emperor with nothing but symbolic power. Local warlords, known as the daimyo, ruled small, semi-autonomous regions, constantly feuding with their neighbors for supremacy. When a daimyo took control of a majority of the country, he became the new shogun, with the name of the particular shogunate depending on the region of the ruling shogun. The establishment of the shogunate solidified the power of the samurai class. Those highest in rank often became daimyo and shogun themselves, while for the average, they were bodyguards and protectors of their masters, unwaveringly loyal and willing to die in battle fighting for the cause. Making up between 5 and 10% of Japan's population, the real power of Japan lay with the samurai. As a hereditary military class, children born of samurai grew up with the expectation that they would one day become great warriors themselves, spending much of their youth training and practicing martial arts. At their genpoku, a coming-of-age ceremony, they would have their samurai helmet placed on their heads by another, signaling their acceptance into the class, and would receive their armor and swords. From this point forward, a young samurai's life became one of fighting and devotion to a master. To define them in society, samurai selected their own unique names, used only by their masters or the emperor, and were given the privilege of carrying 2 swords, one long, often a katana, and the other short. While the role of the samurai both on and off the battlefield changed as the 7 centuries of their age progressed, they remained unchanged in their own code of conduct, which defined the life of a samurai more than the clothes they wore, the weapons they held, or even their achievements in battle. The bushido code was at the heart of samurai culture. Similar to the European chivalric code in some ways, bushido instructed a samurai's behavior, placing honor and loyalty at the center. The average samurai, who served under a daimyo master, fought regularly in feudal Japan, looking forward to an honorable, glorious death in battle. This was inbuilt in the samurai doctrine, an understanding that they should not live to regret the passing of an opportunity to bring fame to their descendants by dying in service of their master on the battlefield. While surprise attacks, raids, and the use of fire were not uncommon tactics even for the samurai, a traditional, idealized battle would begin with the firing of arrows into the air, to call the holy spirits to witness the courage of these men who were about to clash. Before the 15th century, a single combat contest called iki-uchi then followed, where skilled warriors from each side faced each other one-on-one. This was done to try and bring a swift end to the fighting and minimize casualties on both sides. However, once one of the samurai was defeated, the main battle usually continued anyway. It was considered an honor among samurai to be the first to enter the battle, and as skilled horseback riders, the samurai would always throw themselves into peril first. As guns were introduced in the 16th century, this changed and samurai adapted, regularly using guns themselves. At the height of the battle, they would break away as the infantry engaged, seeking out a worthy opponent. It was considered a source of great pride and recognition to take the head of a rival samurai in battle, and certainly not shameful to the fallen. When a master was killed, in battle or otherwise, or if a samurai disgraced themselves and their code, bushido dictated that lost honor could be regained by the ritual suicide of seppuku. Translated as belly cutting, it was often preceded by the composition of a death poem capturing their final thoughts, final regrets, or philosophical take on life. And, for many captured samurai, it was offered as an alternative to execution. Those left masterless who refused to complete seppuku, or those who disgraced themselves in some other way, were shamed and ostracized from society. These samurai were called ronin. Often unable to get work and discriminated against by other samurai and daimyo, ronin regularly turned to a life of crime to survive. One famous true story is of the 47 ronin in 1702, in which a group of samurai were left without a master when their daimyo committed seppuku. Insulted by a powerful official responsible for their master's death, the ronin set out to get revenge. Storming the official's residence and defeating numerous opponents to reach him, they entreated their trapped enemy to commit seppuku himself, and thus regain some honor as a true samurai should. When he refused, they beheaded him, then committed seppuku themselves when ordered by the shogunate government, having completed their mission in avenging their fallen master. The bushido code of the samurai was far more than a way to conduct oneself in battle, a devotion of loyalty to a master, or an acceptance of death. Translated, it means the way of the warrior, and it encompassed a samurai's entire life. Out of battle, the average samurai was expected to live frugally, conduct himself with great respect and honor, and be held as a model citizen. They had great prestige in carrying two swords even at home, and from 1586 were the only class allowed to carry a weapon at all. Their privilege in society allowed them the right to cut down a commoner in the street who showed them disrespect. At moments of peace, when their swords remained sheathed, samurai embraced the arts. Unlike their medieval knight counterparts in Europe, samurai were literate, educated, and often poets in their spare time, embracing the culture of a unity between literary and military arts. The combination of their devotion to the bushido code and skills in poetry can often be seen in the death poems some left behind. The average day in the life of a samurai in peacetime consisted of rising early, tea ceremonies, frugal living, and of course, dutiful service to their master. During the Edo period from 1603 to 1867, also known as the Tokugawa shogunate, their military function became less and less necessary, and the samurai became less like warriors and more like bureaucrats. Their literacy and education allowed them easy access to life in politics, administration, and government, but despite this, they never stopped practicing the traditions that defined them. During the Meiji Restoration in the late 19th century, Japan sought to reinvent itself and re-establish the emperor as the ruling power once more. To achieve this, the samurai class was abolished. As the Shogunate era ended and a modern Japan was about to emerge, the samurai revolted against the changes in the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877. The new imperial government had taken away their status, income, and prestige, and to sit back and do nothing was not the samurai way. Wearing their traditional armor and carrying traditional weapons, they clashed with the new Japanese Empire military. The Battle of Shiroyama on September 24, 1877, was the last time the traditional samurai would fight, and their defeat officially ended the samurai age on terms they would have wanted, falling in battle with honor. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more. Like the samurai, the way of the subscriber is an honorable one.